Namaste, people. Welcome to the show Get Set Green. I'm your host Pooja RV. This podcast was created as a part of Podcast Lab by India Film Project in association with Anchor by Spotify. In continuation with the last episode, we have one more guest joining us. That is Vinita Kaur Chiragia, co-founder of Design Jatra. Hi, Vinita.
Hi, Pooja.
Hi, Vinita. So we are also having Vinita here, who is also one of the co-founder of Design Jatra. So let's welcome her to the show. I know she got into the middle. She was in middle of something, and she has some work right now, but still she like managed to join in, and we are so happy to have you on the show. Yeah, ma'am. We and Shardul and I were speaking about the same things, related what Design Jatra does and what makes it more unique. So I want you to say in your own words, like related, like what is the main thing that Design Jatra does, like agrotourism and all those things and commercial and residential projects as well. Can you throw some light onto that part?
So I think I won't repeat what Shardul has already told you. I
Yeah.
will be more directed towards the ethical part of it and the principles that we work on. So
Mm-hmm.
when we had started working, like at least I had worked in a conventional firm setting, an architectural firm, so to say,
Okay.
wherein every Monday was dreadful. I mean, the work was, no doubt, it was great work done by great architects,
Mm-hmm.
but still it was quite repetitive and there wasn't any soul to it, so to say. Like, I did not find it personally. And I wanted to work with my own hands in materials that I could understand. So what was lacking is, this touch with the technologies that you work in. So just doing drawings on paper
Mm-hmm.
was not giving me the drive to work towards it.
Yeah.
So when we started working, hands-on was the first thing that all three of us, connected on.
Okay.
And natural materials was something that we all are equally still excited about, because it's something wherein we came to know that, you're not destroying the earth while you're doing these practices.
Mm-hmm.
As at the same time, if these materials, if the house just collapses one day or gets dilapidated,
Okay.
all these things go back to the nature.
Yeah.
So this is something which is sustainable according to us in terms of the materiality.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the principles, I think sustainability for us
Hmm.
is where you choose things very sensitively. They should be relevant.
Hmm.
So relevancy is something which is sustainable. Like, we cannot expect mud structures like very thick walls to happen in cities. That would be stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we cannot expect like huge spans which are expected in airport buildings, for example, to be done in mud.
Mm-hmm.
That would be. But if I'm working in a setting
Hmm.
where smaller spans have to be dealt with, then it makes more sense to go for mud, for example, like basic mud.
Yeah.
So relevancy is important, like where you are doing what you're doing.
Hmm.
So the purpose is important and why you are doing it is important.
Yeah. So, Shardul, do you
Okay,
want to
Pooja.
add something to it?
Yeah, so about the things that I was talking about, the four things that Design Jatra majorly focuses on as a practice. So, like I said earlier, also we are blessed to have clients from all economic sections. So, on paper, like I said, we are architectural practice. We build for all these economic sections, right?
Cool.
From the tribals that come to us to people who want just a bare minimum structure to right up to people who want, lavish homes. This is point number one. This is what the primary thing that we do.
Okay.
We also work on having a big community of natural builders, which we do through workshops. So we inculcate, because in architecture formal education, not much of this is actually taught anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So to inculcate some of it through workshops, though colleges are very keen to inculcate it in the syllabus. So there are a lot of workshops we do with students so that interaction is increased.
Mm-hmm.
We work with, that's the second thing. The third thing is we work with the community of our own village to try and see how we can, together work with them and see where a sustainable community, if they can become a sustainable community in the first place, and how we can help them do it, and how they can help us also achieve our own goals of sustainability. And the fourth and the last thing is that we do, as part of the practice, there are separate consultants try to establish like a sustainable lifestyle for the people who come to us, like right from rainwater harvesting to garbage management to landscape permaculture. So it's like a holistic approach that we take towards design, like not just the house that is built, but like the entire complex with a lot of ecology development. So it's been so to say, yeah. So these are the four things that we as a practice,
That's
and
so
all of it is based on the ethics that Vinita just.
yeah. So saying that, adding all those features makes it more unique factor of your firm, as I can say, because not only just designing part, you are also focusing on other sustainability parameters such as this maintaining of the waste and all those like permaculture and all those things. And these words might be somewhat different to our audience. Can you please like tell in somewhat brief, Vinita, regarding like more this whatever the factors you mentioned right now?
Yes, so I would give an example of one of our projects that Shardul had worked on.
Okay.
So the site that we had was absolutely barren and it had a huge slope on it, and soil erosion was something that we noticed very evidently.
Okay.
So the first approach that he took as an architect was not कि घर कहाँ बनाना है. He didn't, finalize the location कि घर कहाँ बनाना है.
Yeah.
But the primary focus was how do I ecologically develop this land so that the soil erosion is stopped.
Great.
So there was a retaining wall which first came into the picture in order to stop the soil erosion. He at the same time looked at various plant species that could be planted so that the root system itself holds the soil. And he started developing the site first, after which he said ki, okay, I do have a retaining wall in place, how do I use this to be a part of the house? So that is how he came to architecture, which is like not the first and the foremost thing that most of the times he does personally, which is an excellent way to go about architecture, which we are not taught in college somehow.
Yeah.
So, developing the whole site, the landscape is equally important as building the structure.
Yes.
So all these aspects today make, the whole ecosystem of the house very much maintenance, less maintenance, and also very ecological, so to say.
Yeah, that is, correct point, Vinita, because not only that, how much our foundation we are putting, there is natural system on earth that there are trees, plants, they are totally meant for that purpose, holding water and giving strength to the soil. So if we go back to our roots and look upon it, like we have so many solutions to do. Yeah, right. That was the great part. So let me ask you one thing. Like I was wondering, like regarding when you go on for designing factors and all those things, well, do you consider like putting it into the execution part? As Shardul mentioned, you also work with communities like tribal people and inculcating them into like sustainable living and all those things. I wanted to understand more about this execution part. Like, is it like you have a collaboration with other people who are doing like certain jobs, and whenever the design comes, you ask them to like collaborate with you so to as to give them their inputs, or you are the only firm where you have people who are meant for all these processes, like to carry out these things? Like how exactly does it go on?
Okay, that's a very good question, Pooja. And I think this is something that I would want to share with the audience.
Okay.
Is we try to practice as far as possible with the local people. So if my site is, for example, in Palghar district, in say small village, I will prefer going in that village and getting to know the skill set over there, getting to know the natural material palette and talk to them about the design. This actually happens much before the design even starts.
Okay, that's
so one aspect that we do, because these people, we see them as the key pointers or the key aspects in the design, wherein they will be the ones who are going to execute it. So if they're not well versed with some skill, it does not make sense for me to design that way.
Yeah.
So they are the guiding principles on which we start designing. If I have to go to Tamil Nadu, I will not be taking my team from Maharashtra to Tamil Nadu. It will be the people of Tamil Nadu in that village who are going to execute the structure over there, who are going to use the materials in which they are good at.
Yeah.
So isliye we use the skill set and the local people to design the things later on. So, the added benefit to this is ki your maintenance cost later on, if there is some issue, gets reduced automatically because you know where to approach these people. They're very much local. very much available.
Yeah, that's correct. I agree totally to this point, including the people who are really local, and they also know very well like what are the materials available. When speaking of materials, Shardul, can you please mention like what are the materials which we can say as sustainable materials which people can use in their own, their own frequency. Everyone cannot afford everything, but still, just to know about like this sustainable materials, can you please tell like this part?
Again, there is nothing, according to us, there is nothing known as sustainable material. So
Okay.
whatever is relevant is sustainable. Like for example, if I'm building a ground structure, a structure which is not doing G+1 in a village setting, okay, in a rural setting, I would try to build it in mud, I would try to build it in wood, I would try to build it in bamboo, I would try to build it in cow dung, I will try to build it in stone. Whatever is locally available, I will try to do it.
Okay.
But the same thing, if I want to build like a G+7 building, or I would want to build that, obviously there are actually examples of G+7 ground plus 7 buildings also built in mud.
Oh,
But
great.
if I'm building in say a city like Mumbai,
Hmm.
where you dig up the earth and you don't get mud, you just get garbage, I'm
Yeah.
definitely not going to import mud all the way from some place and build it. That is not according to us sustainable, because you are adding to the cost of transport, fossil fuel, and all of those things.
Yeah,
So
yeah, correct.
sustainable material is very much contextual. So what is your context and what are you building? And what is the most relevant? So the problem with sustainable materials, or the problem with materials right now, is even the normal villager who is building a ground structure is now forced to believe that mud is weak. Hence they go for cement building.
Oh,
Right? That is the problem. So people want, when they can do a very beautiful structure in mud, they are still going for industrial material. Right? That is the problem. The problem is not that they are using industrial material. The problem is they are using industrial material without understanding the industrial material, and without also understanding their own native materials. If we would understand our own native materials very well, we wouldn't want to go to industrial material in the first place.
Yeah.
So sustainable material is the material that is available at that particular location at that particular time, but more importantly, it is the material that suits you the best after doing some amount of research about the material, like not blindly following the trend. So people right now blindly follow the trend. In cities, they build glass buildings without questioning whether the glass is effective or no. In rural areas, they build RCC buildings without questioning whether you require an RCC building in that setting or no. You might just do a good mud building instead of RCC building.
Yeah. So what you were trying to say was like there is this gap between, understanding. They don't exactly understand, and they doesn't even know the significance where to use and what to use in the right quantity. What I wanted
like
to.
they would know the significance of, like, you ask villagers about their own mud homes, they know why they are important, but it's this trend following that has happened in the rural area which is the problem. Like everybody knows how mud buildings are, because they've lived in it for so many years. So everybody knows that it remains cool during the summer, everybody knows that it remains warm during the winter. That is there. But people want to follow some kind of a trend, so
Yeah.
because we all left our dhotis back, which are very comfortable, and are starting to wear jeans. That is also a trend. So it is just like that. People are now wearing jeans. I say people are now building RCC buildings. They know that the dhoti was good, but they don't want to go back to it. So it's like that.
Yeah. So speaking of trend changes, how they set an example, I just want to say that more than trend setting and all those things, what matters is like you should be like what your own brand or trend, I can say. No matter what, instead of just copying the trends, why don't you be the trend? That's what I wanted to like say in this point. I raised this question as, and also I want to like summarize one thing. Sustainable material is not like if you use mud each and every place, and sustainable material is not the one which you use concrete in each and every place. Sustainable thing depends on what is the requirement and what is the availability. So depending on that, you have to decide. Like I can say for an example, we say that whatever the plastic we use and how it goes and how it ends, it is totally a different matter. It doesn't mean that we have to throw away whatever we have right now. In the sense, we can make an effective use so that we are reducing reducing the cost of production from if you buy one more thing, so that the cost will be reduced, right? We are curtailing that consumerism to some extent. So yeah, this is what I wanted to emphasize. And thank you so much for Shardul and Vinita. You guys were amazing, and we got to know so many things regarding this architecture thing. And also I like the part where you do that local thing, using the skill whatever available locally. It was very much amazing. So we are at the end of the interview now. Do you want to add anything to this, Vinita and Shardul? Anyone? Do you want to add something to this?
I would like to add to viewers like what I began with. Sustainability is one step at a time. So we are still taking our steps. I don't think they will end at any given point of time. But once you start, it will be very smooth. The first thing is the most difficult one.
Yeah, I totally agree with that point. So yeah, thank you both of you for having this sharing your knowledge with us. So thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Pooja.
Thanks for listening. I will come up with a new episode next week. Until then, stay tuned. See you.